Good morning. It is Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. Let it be known, another fantastic show this morning. This morning, we are going to talk with a very special executive in the midst of inclusivity, sensitivity, and of challenging stories that have impacted our communities for years, only showing images of Black youth related to drugs, crime, and low self-esteem and teen pregnancy. There are 20 amazing HBCU students who say there is another and more inspirational story to tell. We're going to talk to Jalorie Williams, who is the GM of Revlon, the Creme of Nature, Revlon's $100,000 Legacy to Leadership HBCU scholarship fund. We're going to talk to Jalorie Williams this morning. Of course, we will first have some headlines for you. While President Biden asserted his discontent with voter suppression laws making their way through legislatures in GOP-led states, Vice President Kamala Harris dropped the bombshell regarding potential plans to sidestep the oppressive filibuster and push through laws to protect the ballot box. During a speech in Philadelphia yesterday, the president said it is a moral case for voting rights and pledged to do whatever he could to protect ballot access to American voters. He said at the same time, I should say, Kamala Harris, the vice president, she was asked about unconventional measures to stop Republicans from restricting access to vote. She says, I believe that of all the issues that the United States Congress can take up right now, the right to vote is the one that unlocks all the other things. She says for that reason, it should be one of the highest priorities. When pressed on whether she supported a carve-out to the filibuster for voting rights proposed by Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina, the vice president said, I don't mean this as an offense, but I'm going to negotiate this way. But I'm not going to negotiate this way, but I'm certainly having conversations with folks about that subject. So really interesting that the vice president talked about having conversations with obviously lawmakers on the filibuster and ways to circumvent that when it comes to voting rights. I know as we see what's happening in Texas and the Texas Democratic contingent that made its way to Washington this week, they've been threatened by the governor with arrest. And in fact, the NAACP announced that it would post any bond or bail required to spring the Texas Democrats. Cheryl Smith of the Texas Metro News is watching. She says Texas Democrats are doing the right thing. This is a critical time in their history. We expect it to be joined shortly by our president and CEO, Dr. Ben Chavis. But as we continue, speaking of Dr. Chavis, yesterday, Dr. Chavis and I visited the Ethiopian embassy in Washington, D.C. We spoke with the ambassador there. We had a nice sit-down lunch with the ambassador, who talked about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And here's the thing with that. Ethiopia has built this wonderful, wonderful dam on the waterway there, which there's a conflict, of course, with Egypt and Sudan. They don't want this dam there, but it's on Ethiopian property. In fact, it has spurred a lot of controversy over the last couple of years, even the former president, Donald Trump, imploring Egypt to blow up the dam. Well, we had a nice conversation with the ambassador about that. We're going to bring you more about that. And you can read about what he had to say about that issue on blackpressusa.com. And more to come on the relationship that is being forged between the Black press of America and the media in Ethiopia. Dr. Chavis plans to take a contingent to Ethiopia in the near future to meet with the Ethiopian media and meet with the people of Ethiopia. And right now, here is our president and CEO, Dr. Ben Chavis. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacey, and thank you for yesterday. On behalf of the Black press, we had a great meeting with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ethiopia to the United States, Brother Fitsum Arauca. And I think that the future looks bright. And I just want to say, Stacy, on behalf of the Black press, thank you for coming down to DC. We had a great meeting yesterday, and we'll certainly have some announcements to make. But just let everybody know that the Black Press of America, we're forming strategic alliances with the African press, in this case, particularly with the Ethiopian press. There's so many great news stories, great things happening to people of African descent. And, as the global Black press represented by the NMPA, we're going to keep moving forward. And we thank Karen Carter Richards, our chair, for her leadership, and all of the members of the NMPA, 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies across America. So you can continue with the headlines, Stacy, and I'm excited about the opportunities to expand the reach and the distribution of the Black press, not only across the United States, but throughout the diaspora, wherever people of African descent are.
Yeah, and we are all excited. Dr. Chavis says, in fact, Cheryl Smith writes in, her passport is current. So I guess she's making a statement to you there, Dr. Chavis. Do not forget
Yes.
Cheryl Smith. We can't forget her. Bobby Henry, Michelle Madison, all those, Lynn Spivey, Joni King, Angela Connolly. I'm sorry, Angela. Good morning to you, Annette Phillips. But good morning to our special guest this morning, none other than Jalorie Williams, the GM of Revlon. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good this morning. How you all doing?
Good morning. So, Sister Williams, where are you based?
I'm based in Jacksonville, Florida.
All right, very good.
Yes,
good.
born and raised in little country girl from Tallahassee, Florida, home of Florida A&M. So happy to be here this morning, living in the Sunshine State.
Very
Can't
good.
complain.
Very good. My hometown is Oxford, North Carolina, and there is a very, very big plant for Revlon company production facility in my hometown.
Yes, very familiar with that one. We have one here in Jacksonville too. A lot of people don't even know we're here in Jacksonville. So part of my duty is to make sure that the community knows that Revlon is here, Creme of Nature. We have a plant, we have a warehouse, our marketing department is here. So, we're asking for the community to continue to support us. We've been around for over 40 years. So I'm sure some of you are very familiar with Creme of Nature and probably used it at some point in time and probably still are using it.
Well, we appreciate your leadership. And, Revlon is one of the major, not only cosmetic companies, but does so much in the community. And, all of corporate America is attempting to respond to the challenge of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I know that you have a great opportunity at your leadership, for your leadership at the Revlon company.
Yes, and one of the things that, I'm very proud of is what we're doing in terms of giving back to the community, and that is our Legacy to Leadership HBCU Scholarship Program. When I came into this role almost 2 years ago, and when the whole Black Lives Matter happened, Revlon, we had a seat at the table with our CEO. She wanted to understand how we were feeling. What did we feel Revlon should be doing, could be doing? And one of my major initiatives was giving back to the community that has supported us for well over 40 years. So we created the Legacy to Leadership Scholarship, really focusing on HBCU schools. We know education is so important to our community and to the future of our community. We wanted to make sure that we were not coming with just $1. We needed to come with some big money. And so we created the $100,000 scholarship. This is not the first. This is not the last time you're going to see this. We're going to continue this momentum. We had over 610 students apply, and there were 610 videos that I had to watch. And we had to null it down to 40. Then we took it to 20. And when I tell you, between the crying and the cheering with these videos and how the students are talking about their legacy, some of them are first generation college students. We had a young lady saying she's first in her family and she's from the Caribbean. to come to the US to go to school, and she's at Howard. We had another young lady with her journey. She's at Central State. She has autism. And, you know, that is a blessing to be able to embrace, you know, what you were given, but take it to the next level. We cried and we cried and we cried with her video. Then we had another young lady when we called to tell her she had won. She was home working from home, and her mom had contracted COVID, and she's an only child. And she was like, she said to us, y'all gonna have to give me a moment here because I need to cry, I need to scream because you guys don't understand what this means. Another young lady said now she could take a break from working at Taco Bell because, you know, it's hard. It is really hard. And companies, like you're saying, Dr. Chavis, companies really have to step up and step out and really give back to the community that have supported them and buying their products and buying their services. And when you think about, you know, what they call the C-suite, I don't look at it as a C-suite. I look at it as a good old country girl from Tallahassee, Florida, trying to make a difference and give back to the community that supported me when I was at FAMU.
Yeah, and you spearheaded this program. It was pretty much you're the brainchild, the brain trust behind it, right? So you kind of described the students' reaction. What was your reaction seeing that?
I was shocked, I was proud, and I was happy because, you know, back in the day, hey, I have no shame in my game and my age. I'm about to hit 60, but back in the day, we had to handwrite essays. When you tell the students to create a video, they are very creative. They are very emotional about their journey. And so when you sit and you watch all of these videos, you want to be able to give everybody something. So when I looked at the videos and I started sharing them with my boss and with our CEO, Debbie Perlman, they were amazed and they asked me, what else can you do? And I said, it's not about what else can I do, it's about what else I am doing. So that was just phase one. So our next phase is going to be coming up now. We're going to be working with the Thurgood Marshall and with a pitch competition. We're going to select 30 students from HBCU schools that will work in teams of 3s. And we're going to give them real life cases from Revlon as well as from Creme of Nature. And they're going to pitch how they would solve that issue. Then as we move into 2022, because we ain't done yet, we're not done. This is a launch and leverage. This is not a launch and leave. We don't launch and leave at Creme of Nature. We launch and leverage and keep it going. We are working with our diversity and inclusion committee based in New York and headed by a young lady, Kimberly Davis, for internships for next year. She is working with the universities, getting us set up on campus. She's putting together the criteria. And Dr. Chavis, to what you're talking about, these will be internships at different sites of Revlon. Because I'm a business major. So I've already said to her, you can go any place you want to go, but I'm getting one of those interns. Because we have marketing, we have, IT, we have legal, we have PR, we have engineering. So we're going to make sure that we are spreading the love across all of Revlon's locations.
Yeah, I see Marie Lourdes Price says Creme of Nature has great products for us who don't use relaxer or other chemicals. Dr. Chavis, I know you want to jump in.
Well, again, I appreciate Sister Williams' passion and commitment. And that's why it's so important for African Americans to be in the leadership of these major companies, not only giving back, but helping to empower the next generation of leaders, the next generation of entrepreneurs. African Americans spend trillions of dollars in the American economy. And the extent to which we can get more investment back in our community. And she's right, education is so important. I'm an HU graduate, Howard University, and I know Bobby Henry went to FAMU. A lot of our publishers also went to HBCUs across the country. And so the Black Press, we're a strong supporter also of our HBCUs. But I just want to salute Sister Williams for her leadership, and we need more people in corporate America like Sister Williams to kind of push the envelope so that, particularly in wake of what happened with George Floyd, a lot of companies are making these commitments. But she's right. It's the follow through. It's to make sure that we do something that expands the opportunity for our young people, expands the opportunity for our communities at large.
Yeah, and you talked earlier about the corporate responsibility that organizations should have. Why? Well, talk about some of the challenges, if you will. We talked about this, about hearing the negative stories about our Black youth and why it's important to keep changing the narrative.
I think for me, as a product of an HBCU school, when you get the opportunity to have a seat at the table, it's important to what Dr. Chavis is saying. Realize your journey. Realize that, like they always say, life is a journey, not a destination. So you have to be able to reach back. You have to be able to pull up. You have to be able to step out, and you have to be that voice for millions of African American males, females from all generations, all walks of life, to really start that change. And I do believe it takes one person who can and should be able to make a difference. When I am on calls and I'm talking about, programs that we're doing, like we employ a Black-owned female PR agency. That's our agency of record. We have a Black-owned boutique agency in Atlanta that handles all of our digital buy. We employ Black photographers. When we shoot on sets, 98% of the people that are there are Black, and they look like me. Models. We don't go to big name agencies to find models because we have beautiful Black women everywhere. We employ a lot of our models right here locally out of Jacksonville. That I met one young lady, at one of my favorite restaurants, Chick-fil-A. She had a beautiful head of hair. So I started talking to her about her hair, gave her my card, and now she's on a box of our hair color. But you have to be able to make the commitment. And my mother would tell me, talk is cheap, put up or shut up. And so for me, it's about put up and it's about put out. And as I look to continue to grow in the role that I'm in and to continue to give back, we have to look at it across all avenues of what we do and how we can continue to make a difference. Like today, we just kicked off a new campaign that's called Shine Different. And it's about how we as women, especially African-American women, how we are shining different within the communities that we live. The young lady who made the post about, the chemicals, I used to have a relaxer. I made that journey to go natural. It wasn't an easy journey, but I love the fact that the products that we have at Creme of Nature are tried, true, and trusted, because we can't launch anything unless it goes on my hair. That's just who I am. Because if it doesn't work, I send it back, because I need to be authentic. I need to make sure that the products we're putting out are top quality products that work on our hair.
Yeah, and to do all that, to accomplish all that, you have to. It seems like you have to have a company, an organization that is 100% behind you. Talk about that with Revlon, if you will.
Yeah, I must admit, Debbie Perlman, our CEO, I've never seen a woman so committed to making sure that these brands are successful, to making sure that I'm successful in the role that I'm in. When I got promoted into this position, the calls that I got and the commitment from her, from the head of HR, from my boss, just say, you've earned this right to be in this position. You are committed, you're driven, your passion, your love for this consumer, for this category is one that we will continue to support. We have had enormous growth year over year. And I always tell people, in the words of Michael Jordan, there's no I in team, but there's an I in win. And there's a team of us that work to make sure that what we are doing is making a difference. From Debbie's commitment to the HBCU legacy to leadership, to the point everybody is involved in this. They want to know, how did you guys do it? What else can we be doing? I always stress that, we're the only multicultural division within Revlon. And Debbie is saying to me, I need you to reach across the aisle, and we call them our sisters, and help your sisters to bring along their brands to reach this community. And as you know, Revlon has Meg Thee Stallion as a brand ambassador. That's a huge win for Revlon. You know, some people will say she may be a little controversial, but the one thing about Revlon, they didn't change her. They said, be who you are, and we're going to support you in what you're doing within the community. I look at the fact that, you know, when I look across the aisle, there's a woman who looks like me, Chandra Coleman, who is the general manager for Revlon, a sister, and she's a graduate of Spelman. So Revlon is definitely committed to the Black community. They're definitely committed to diversity and inclusion, and they're definitely committed to the growth of what their employees are doing.
Yeah, and realizing that Revlon is a business, how have your customers responded to the company's commitments to African American students and African Americans in general?
Well, we do what we call line reviews each year with a lot of our top retailers, Walmart being one. And my buyer at Walmart looks like me. And so when we presented the HBCU initiative, she said to me, why can't more companies do what you're doing? Because they actually have an intern from Jackson State. And she said to me, she said, please tell me you're going to continue this next year. And I said to her, it's like, listen, this is not a launch and leave program. This is a launch and leverage. And I always tell her, I say, you ain't seen nothing yet. Walgreens, they wanted to know more about our program, because you think about it, these retailers are where? In the community close to these HBCU schools. And where do we as college students shop? We shop in Walgreens, we shop in Walmart. So we need to be there. We need to support the community, not only from a manufacturing standpoint, but also from a retailer standpoint. And it's like I said to my team and to Revlon, we might have Black history, but we're Black 365 days a year. And we need to show up and show out and represent that number 365 days a year, not just during the month of February.
Yeah, you used a couple of slogans there. And along with Annette Phillips, who's watching, I feel like I'm in an episode of Good Times. She says, right on. So Jackie Hampton says, good morning. Jackie Hampton is our publisher down in Mississippi at the Mississippi Link in Jackson. She says, I appreciate all you are doing at Revlon and in your community. Dr. Chavis, I surmise that most of our publishers who are watching feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Jackie Hampton is our national secretary of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. We always thank her for her leadership. And I want to let Sister Williams know that almost 50% of all of our publishers are African-American women, own businesses in the communities from Jackson, Mississippi to Houston, Texas, to Norfolk, Virginia, to Atlanta, to New York City, all over the country, just doing great work. And certainly we want to work with companies like Revlon. I'm glad that you are not only making a difference inside the company, you're making a difference in the community, which Revlon does business. And that's a great role model. And I agree with what the intern said. I think we need more companies to follow Revlon's lead in this. Because, you know, we consume a lot of products across the board, not in addition to cosmetics, in addition to hair care products. And I think it's a great thing to see companies like Revlon give back. So we salute you. And even after this broadcast, we want to find ways how we can work with you ongoingly.
Yes, most definitely. Dr. Chavis, don't worry. They've already given me the 5-minute elevator pitch. So
all right,
I've made some notes. And we're definitely going to see how we can further this relationship, because like I said, I'm all about launch and leverage. I'm not a launch and leave type of a girl. I think it's important that, you know, a lot of these brands and a lot of these businesses that we start to reach across the aisle. There's a young lady who has a brand called Boss Women Media. We are supporting her 100%. There's another young lady, Ashley Gomez. She started a company called Impressions of Beauty, and she does college sampling. She's a product of FAMU. She actually worked at one of our hair shows, and we developed a relationship with her. And we actually took her to Walmart because Walmart reached out to us to say, who is the company you guys work with for college sampling? And we told them Ashley Gomez. They reached out to her, and now Walmart is using her. So we have to be able to network. We have to be able to help one another. Because like I said to everybody I meet, there's opportunities for everybody.
Yes.
I think that what we as a community do very well is we help each other. We network, we support one another. And I think there's a lot more work that has to be done.
Yeah, and a few remaining moments with Jalorie Williams. He's a GM at Revlon. Jalorie, you mentioned a little while ago other programs that you guys are working on. Give us a little insight on what's next at Revlon, what you are into.
Well, one thing we're definitely doing is innovation with new products. You'll see some of the products behind me, but we have a whole host of new products coming up. Here in Jacksonville, we work with 5 African-American stylists that will test and use our products. We are continuing with our Boss Women Media. That partnership, she has some virtual events, some in-person events. I can't wait to attend 100 Black women seated at the table. It's a huge event that's going to take place later this year. We are gearing up for the World Natural Hair Show that will take place in Atlanta next year. Essence, of course, BET. And one of the things that we're just looking for is just new ways to give back to the community. Because, you know, it's great that we support Essence, but what about that small event that, you know, to your point, Dr. Chavis, that's taking place in Mississippi? What can we do in Mississippi? You know, I think it's 3 or 4 years ago, we actually partnered with, there was a television show called Bring It. And we partnered with Diana, with DD4L at the Steve Harvey event in Atlanta. Because I was home, I was watching the show, I really liked it, these young girls and what she was trying to do, contacted my PR agency, and lo and behold, we created a partnership. And you know, those are the things that I'm looking for. And like I always tell everybody, I may not be able to give you as much money as you're looking for, but there are things that we can do to help you. We can partner with you with products. We give away a lot of product because I think it's important to give people the opportunity to try our products. Here in Jacksonville with the FAMU Alumni Association, we are 158 going strong. We do a scholarship program. We put together baskets for the kids that are going off to college. We just signed a contract with a major stylist. He is the stylist for Meg Thee Stallion, Kellon Derrick. So we just finished shooting a video with him, and we used a boutique agency. We shared the video to the corporation. And when I tell you the number of emails I got asking me for the contact information for this boutique agency, because, you know, a lot of the corporations, they will use these big agencies and they're paying all of this money. But I'm like, spread the love around, because you have startups that can do just as good, if not better. And we have to be able to bring them along. So this is just the beginning. Shine Different campaign kicking off today, legacy to leadership, getting ready to go into the pitch competition, internship program we're working on for next year, Black History, but Black History to me is 365 days. Yeah. So I got to be there 365 days. And we definitely make sure that Creme of Nature, or what we call ourselves, the multicultural group, remains front and center in everything I do at Revlon.
Yeah, and Bobby Henry, who is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, he says it's not always about the money. Relationships that are reciprocal go a long way. He also wanted to know if you were familiar with the Jacksonville Free Press. The publisher is Sylvia Perry.
Mm-hmm.
I am not familiar with it, but I am now. So I need that information because I'd like to start doing some local advertisement. Right. Even whether I'm advertising my brand or whether I'm advertising that Revlon is looking for employees. We just got to do more. We just have to do more. And, you know, and like I, you know, said to you, Mr. Brown, I don't know everything. So the more I can network with people, the more I can do.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I know, and I know all the publishers are going to want to hear me say this. Look, we thank you for coming on the program, but you've just opened the door for a great ongoing relationship between the NNPA and Revlon. And you're going to be hearing from us frequently.
I expect to, because let me tell you something. If I did not hear from you guys after this, I'd have been like, well, man, what happened? I thought we was going to launch in leverage.
Okay.
You heard that, right, Dr. Chambers?
Oh yeah, you know. Listen, I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about today.
Oh, I'm talking about right after this. I expect to get
Exactly.
some emails with some information so I can get on the phone with my agency to say, okay, listen, I just finished this phenomenal interview. This is what they sent me. Let's start looking at this. My senior director of marketing, she's an African-American woman. She's on vacation, but believe me, she will be getting an email from me. And come Monday when she comes back, we're going to be talking about you all.
Very good.
Well,
very
tell
good.
her we are 100% Black owned and operated. We are so glad to have you, Jalorie Williams, GM at Revlon. Don't forget, every Sunday, and check your local listens during the week as well. Watch the Chavis Chronicles on PBS TV and PBS World, starring that man right there, Dr. Ben Chavis, for more news that concerns the African American community. And of course, watch Let It Be Known every weekday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Let it be known. Remember this, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. That is from the late, great Nelson Mandela. We will see you tomorrow.